It's about time, it's about time. It's about time. Well, hello and welcome finally to the return of my vlog. It's been a really long time since I've vlogged, and apologies, this year I've been rubbish at vlogging, but it's back and I'm going to try and do one of these about every 2 weeks. I'm not being too ambitious. I have some lovely questions today that I've been sent in by people, so thank you very much if you sent in a question. If you want to send me a question, I'll give you all the details at the end of this vlog about how to get them to me. So what have I been up to? Well, I had a book out, people. My 10th novel came out. Here it is. Ta ta ta. I love it, it's so sparkly. It came out on the 5th of September. It's doing really well. It's currently 99p on Kindle, so if you have an ebook, it's a good time to buy it. And also you can add the amazing audiobook by Laura Kerman and Joshua Manning, who are my Phoebe and Sam, and you can add that for $6.99 at the moment. Also, you can get this in Asda and Tesco. It's so lovely. I went into Asda and Tesco a few days ago and saw it for the first time because I've been that busy, I haven't been able to see it, and it's so lovely on the shelf. It's like my babies. So really chuffed with that. If you bought it and read it, thank you very much. Thank you for your lovely comments. If you haven't read it yet, it's a good treat to have for autumn. I've just finished writing book 11, which is going to be out this time next year. Doesn't have a title yet. As soon as it has a title, I'll let you know. I have my own title for it because I can't call it Untitled Dickinson 11. Sounds awful. So it has its own title that I've written, but that may not be the title of the actual book. It's with my editor right now. I wrote it in a frenzy, about 6 weeks. It was meant to be longer, but I wasn't very well over the summer. I had pneumonia, and then I also had a bleed behind my eye because, you know, just having pneumonia isn't enough, really. And so it meant that it put back the writing. So I wrote the book and it's in, and it will go through lots of changes and lots of edits, but in terms of a first draft and the kind of the heart and the feeling of it, I'm really proud of it, and I think you're gonna love it. Even though I sent in the first draft for book 11, I know that when it comes time to do the edits, I've got to fine tune some details. And so at the moment, that is my reading list. So I am kind of working my way through these so that when it comes time to do the edits, I can make sure that the fine detail of the book is there. There's stuff in there that I'm sort of like learning about at the same time, which is quite fun. I really love that. I love that research element to it. Let's get on to your questions. The first question today is from Honeybuns Handmade Bracelets. Lovely Hayley at Honeybuns Handmade Bracelets. Hello Hayley, how are you? Now, I've got to show you, because if you've seen my vlogs, you will have seen me wearing these beautiful handmade bracelets. And Hayley makes these, and at the moment Hayley and I are cooking up a Christmas surprise that may or may not have something to do with beautiful bracelets. So watch this space, and I will tell you all about that as we get nearer the time. Hayley wants to know, where do I get my ideas? Well, I get asked this question a lot, and I think it's something that everybody wants to know with writers. For me, it can be anything. It can be something I've seen on the television, it can be a news report, it can be just a piece of overheard conversation in a coffee shop, it can be a bit of a scene. Sometimes I get like ideas for bits of scenes, and my new book actually started life as a script. I had an idea for a couple of scenes and I wrote them down as a script. I studied drama at university and I wrote theatre scripts, but I've never written screenplays before, so I've been trying to write screenplays for the past year, just to learn how to do it, because it's so different from writing a novel, so different from writing theatrical plays as well. And so I had this idea for a couple of scenes and then started writing the idea actually as a series. And then when it came time to pitch the next book to HQ, because these characters were in my head and I really wanted to tell their story, I thought, I wonder if this would work as a novel. And it has worked really well. So they kind of come from everywhere. So I hope that answers your question, Hayley. Thank you very much. Next question is from Lauren John, who is These City Days on Instagram. Hello Lauren, how are you? Thank you very much for your question. She said, this is brilliant. She said, what would you put in a recipe book for creatives for ultimate snacks and brain food? Biscuits, basically. If I wanted to be healthy, and I was actually, to be fair, I was quite healthy writing book 11. The last week of writing book 11, I was invariably working at night, and I didn't go to bed much before 3 o'clock any night for about a week and a half. I was like a zombie. It was scary. I found that I had a lot of easy peel oranges are great because you can kind of have them and eat them while you're writing. I do find that picking food is really not the best thing to do when you're spending hours and hours and hours writing, unless you want to have a bum like Jabba the Hutt. Writer's bum is a well-known, recognised condition. I think just having things about that you can kind of pick at are good. I'm partial to my biscuits. With biscuits, I try and ration them so that I don't end up huge. And so I will have like a biscuit for every 5 chapters that I write or something crazy. And it just helps me to kind of carry on. I'm not even trying to be, you know, healthy about it. I think you're just having little treats now and again is quite nice. But just don't eat an entire box of, you know, after 8 minutes or something. I hope that answers your question, but brilliant question. If you're a writer, what do you eat when you write? What helps you write? I think biscuits will probably come out quite top along with gin. So next question is from Tina, who's Tina Louise Reads Books on Instagram. Hello Tina, thank you very much for your question. She said, if you weren't writing books, what would you be doing instead? Sleeping. No, I've worked in all kinds. I've had some crazy jobs. I worked as a copywriter for a political organisation that I didn't vote for, just because it was the only job outside of London I could get. That was fun. I've worked as a tour guide at a nuclear power station. I've worked in cafes and shops and pubs and offices, and it doesn't really matter where I work. I always find something that I really love about it, and I love working with people. So yeah, what would I be doing? I tell you what I'd really like to do. I'd love to be a music supervisor. You know, the people that pick all the music for TV programs and commission soundtracks for movies and stuff. I'd love to do that. I'd love to work with composers and kind of, you know, create original music for stuff. That would be brilliant. So that's probably my dream job. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is from Bapinda. Hi, who is Missy BKD on Twitter. Thank you very much for your question. She said, where do I find my inspiration and how do I start writing a novel? I start writing a novel by writing it. If I have an idea, I will write at least the first 2 chapters just for me to try on the voice of the characters, to try and find a way into the story. And if by the end of 2 chapters I'm excited and I want to write more, then I know that it's got a pretty good chance of being a novel. I do plan, but I plan once I've got the idea and once I've tried it out. So the first thing is always to sit down and write it for me, because I think unless you try it on and if you're not excited about it after the first 2 chapters, then you can't expect anybody else to be. And also it's fun because, you know, I have quite a lot of sort of opening chapters of novels that have just come from ideas, and so when it comes time to pitch the next novel, there's like a bank of stuff that I can go and look at and see which one takes my fancy and whose story I want to tell. So I hope that answers your question. Next question is from Seldom Seen Jean on Twitter. Jean, thank you very much for your question. Now this is a really good question if you want to know how to submit a manuscript to publishers. She said, do you use single space, double space or 1.5 space when typing, and what does your editor expect? Always use double space, 12 point in a Word document. That's how I write all my novels. It's the way I've always done it. I don't think it's necessarily stipulated in my contract, but it's kind of the way that I've always worked. And the original idea of having it double spaced was that if it was printed out, then there was room in between the lines for people to write notes. So that's kind of where it comes from. But generally, one side of the paper, double spaced, 12 point. At the moment I'm writing in Cambria. I like writing in Georgia as well. I'm not too fond of Times New Roman or Arial. So that's what I write in, so I hope that answers your question. So, lovely questions. Thank you very much, everybody. If you would like to ask a question for a future vlog, all you need to do is send me a message. You can either leave a comment underneath this vlog. You can tweet me at Wordsmith. I'm also Wordsmith on Instagram. Miranda Dickinson author at Facebook. Or you can email me, MirandaWordy@gmail.com. Ask me anything and it will be in a future vlog and I'll give you a shout out if I mention it. So send me your questions. Have a great week and I'll see you soon. Bye. It's about time.